The Closers platform here today, creating leaders through relationships. I'm here with Liliana Pickens. Liliana is the team lead from 𝐂𝐫𝐿agh𝐼𝑠 Legacy. Excited, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me again.
And before I can let Liliana speak, I need to say that back in September of 2019, I was very excited to have Liliana on the show because I was announcing that she was a new business development rep for our company, Fidelity National Title. And now today, we're here. She no longer works for our company, and I'm equally as excited to be here because this show and the purpose of this show is to showcase people, showcase the stories, and showcase talent. And we get to do that today, even though you're a team lead for KW and not a business development rep for Fidelity National Title. So welcome. That was a lot to get out, but I needed to say it.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited to be here with you today.
I'm excited to have you, and I know that our viewers are going to gain so much from what we should have titled the show was Conversations with Liliana.
Right?
Absolutely. We're going to have some conversations. So we're going to talk today about how your life has led you here. And I'm going to start by you talking about a conversation you had with
Chris Baker.
With Chris Baker. How long ago?
3 years ago.
3 years ago.
Yes.
Tell us about your conversation with Chris.
So 3 years ago, I joined Keller Williams. At the
first time.
Yeah, the first time. At the Chris Baker team, I was one of his buyer agents. And when he introduced me to original director, for the first time, he said, "You are meeting the future team leader of the 𝐂𝐞𝐚𝐝 office."
That's how he introduced you?
Yeah, that's how he introduced me. And I was like, what are you talking about? And he planted that seed in my head, right? And he kept telling me throughout our tenure together, that's where you're going to end up. That is the position for you. You were born for that role.
Right.
And here we are. We're opening our 𝐂𝐶𝐚 office
Yes, you are, in February. That's so exciting. So you will be the team lead of the 𝐂𝐶𝐚 office and the
business center of 𝐂𝐤𝐿.
On 𝐂𝐤𝐿.
Yes.
Okay, because I wasn't sure. I know it's obviously KW Legacy, but I wasn't sure what you were going to call it. So business center on 𝐂𝐤𝐿 and then the 𝐂𝐶𝐚 office as well. That is so exciting.
I know. We're super excited.
So Chris knew before you did.
Isn't that how it usually happens,
Absolutely.
right? Someone sees potential in you before you see it in yourself.
But you know what I thought of, which we didn't talk about before the show today, is what you went through with Chris. So you were an agent on his team. And you were an agent on his team for about how long?
For around 2.5 years.
For around 2.5 years. And then you met Alyssa.
Yes.
And you started to engage with Alyssa about an opportunity we had in our Lake Nona office.
Correct.
So Chris and I honestly had to experience the same thing, which was watching you leave for an opportunity to better yourself and to continue on with your journey, right?
Yes. And I'm super grateful for the people that have come to my life, like Chris and you, because even though I'm leaving you, you guys don't stand in the way of my growth.
Right.
You are my biggest cheerleaders and coaches and mentors and are the ones inspiring me to fulfill my potential.
Right. But I know that if Chris were here today, he would say the same thing that I'm getting ready to say, which is you have also taught us and coached us and mentored us to be better by watching your journey.
Thank you.
So we're going to talk about that again a little later, but we're going to pause a minute. And one of the things that you and I spoke about when you were on the show back in September of 19 was your son.
Yes.
So tell us about your journey with your son and how that impacted your life so significantly.
Absolutely. So Ricardo was diagnosed with an autoimmune disorder back in 2013. It's called Evans syndrome. So what happens in his body is that it creates antibodies that kill all of his cells. Ricardo's doing fine, thank God. He's been stable for almost 4 years now. He's been in remission. But you know, that's always going to teach you big lessons, and your perspective is going to change a lot if you're doing this thing semi-right, right? This parenting crazy journey.
Yep.
And I think one of the things that I have learned from that whole experience, now in hindsight, right? I mean, when you're in the middle of it, you don't get it. You don't understand why this is happening. However, in hindsight, I think Ricardo's experience and dealing with a kid that's immunocompromised has taught me how to just move through the crisis.
Right.
Like, you just got to keep moving, like relentless forward movement. That's like a real mantra for
Absolutely.
me.
I heard a song the other day, and it said that I'm in the storm, but the storm is not in me.
Absolutely.
And that's what you just reminded. The storm was happening. And I tell people all the time that it's one thing in retrospect to look back and say, these were the lessons and this is what I gained. But how about right in the moment?
Yeah. Well, right in the moment, I didn't have a choice. That's how I look at it, right? I mean, I didn't have a choice but to
Well, you did have a
tend
choice.
to the kids. Yeah, I guess.
Yes.
But in my head, in my mindset, I didn't. I really didn't. I have to show up. I have to show up as a parent to not only Rick, but the other two kids that are also suffering through it. And I had to show up as a wife.
Right.
You know, and as a daughter, because,
I hope our viewers are writing this down. No matter what the circumstance, if you have this innate belief that you still have to show up, wow.
You have to show up.
Yes.
There's absolutely. Absolutely.
So you showed up.
Yeah, so
and
I
through
showed
you
up
showing
and-
up,
yeah.
your family showed up. But we talked about this last time, and we need to mention this. There were moments that you closed the door.
Oh, there are moments in the present where you have to close the door and you have to have your moment.
Right.
100% that doesn't make you weak, it makes you human.
Right.
And I truly, in the depth of my core, believe that you just can't live there.
Yeah. And when we
know.
say close the door, viewers, what we mean is close the door and have that
have
cry,
your moment and your breakdown.
your
Absolutely.
breakdown. Absolutely.
You have to have a breakdown before any breakthrough. I'm a firm believer of that.
That's true too. So he's doing well now.
Yes.
How did COVID impact your family because of his medical issues?
Yes. So we have been severely, sheltered in place, especially like at the beginning of the first maybe 3 or 4 months.
Right.
We didn't allow anyone to come into the house. It's just now that we're allowing people to kind of come in and them to go out. And obviously, with protocols in place and masks and hand sanitizers. And it's a new normal, right? We've developed a new normal, like almost every other American family.
Right. But you really had more challenges than I had, because I don't have to worry to the level that you have to worry.
Yeah, for us, it's a real possibility that if Rick gets COVID, it's not going to be just 2 weeks of, getting over it.
Right.
It's a real problem.
But
our lives are going to stop. Our lives are going to stop.
But you've also figured out now, right smack still in it, that you and your family need to live.
Oh,
so
absolutely.
you've changed what you're doing to live.
I think our family has shifted now to this mentality of we have to learn to live with this.
Right.
So how do we go about that? So now we're building structure and making plans around how to learn to live with this, because it's not going to go away anytime soon, apparently. And we need to keep living.
But you want to live.
Absolutely. I mean, he's going back to college. We're sending the kid back to FSU in the next few weeks.
Okay.
And he's finishing his senior year of college on campus.
What I thought was so amazing when we spoke last time, Liliana, is that you taught him how to live with his issues.
That's absolutely
right.
I mean, he has to own that, right? That he's the one that's going to deal with this problem for the rest of his life.
Yes.
All I can do as a mom and all my husband can do is we just have to equip him, give him the tools to deal with that for the rest of his life, and know the difference between something serious that we need to go to the hospital right now, versus this can wait until Monday.
Absolutely, absolutely.
We don't want to raise a hypochondriac.
That's good, which you very well could have.
Yeah, no,
right?
absolutely.
You very well could have. You had every reason that you could have. So how do you equip yourself? And I'm wondering if you're going to follow me with where I'm going. You know where I'm going with this one? How do you take care of you and equip yourself for this journey of life that has some difficulties to it?
My outlet is running.
Running.
I go out for my runs. My best friends run with me. That's my time to catch up with them. It's my time to catch up with myself. Sometimes I'm running alone, even though I'm in the group, maybe we separate because of pace or whatnot. And then I have that moment to just have some self-reflection and just that piece of quiet in my day.
So I need to know, how far have you run without stopping?
Without stopping, 13.1.
13.1, yay.
Yeah, without stopping.
And if you just go out for a run, what does that look like?
During the week, it looks anywhere between 3 miles to 5 miles, and then
Okay.
on the weekends, upwards 8 miles up to 20.
Okay,
It
and
depends.
sometimes alone and sometimes with others.
Yes.
But you created a run club.
Yes.
And
That's my fourth child.
Your fourth child. And what was the purpose and is the purpose of the Run Club?
So the purpose of the Run Club is to be a force of good in our community. That's first and foremost.
Here,
the
everyone,
purpose.
a force of good in our community. She talks so darn fast.
Sorry.
A force of good in our community.
Yes, that is first.
It was worth repeating, but you also
No.
speak very fast.
I'll slow down. That is first and foremost the purpose of the Run Club. And then, of course, it was about guiding people to their goals in a healthy, positive, good environment. So, yeah,
But what
that's
do
what
you
we do.
teach people about themselves through running?
Wow, there's so many lessons.
And is it only women?
No.
Men
No, we
too?
have,
Okay.
women and men, and everything in between.
Okay.
I think the biggest lesson that Run Club has taught all of us is that we can keep going even in the moments when we think that we cannot.
Right. That's
And
so
that's
good.
a big lesson.
Health is so important, right? And what you're reminding me of is, you know, I go to the gym every morning, and about, I don't know, 2 years ago, really struggling with some things, you know, getting hit pretty hard with some challenges. And I'm a leader, and I'm out in the community, in the industry, and I go to the gym every morning, and there was that box in the gym, box jumps.
Oh, oof.
And I would walk in to jump, and my body wouldn't. My body wouldn't go. So I walk in one morning, the trainer's there, and the box is in the middle of the gym. And we did it. I did it, and jumped on that box 10 times in a row. And it was one of, to this day still, one of the most powerful things that I have done, because I knew that my mind could no longer tell my body what it could and couldn't do. And literally, I left the gym that day and every day thereafter, no matter what I've done, saying to myself, go ahead, world. What have you got for me?
Yeah.
Because my mind was telling my body it couldn't, and I trained my mind to tell my body it could.
And that is the beauty of every exercise,
Right.
right? That is the beauty of it. I mean, we realize immediately we have the power.
Right.
We decide. We get to know ourselves in a different light.
But you help people, this is really important to understand, you help people to know themselves the way you see them versus the way they see themselves.
Yes. I believe that you see potential in people before they see it in themselves.
Like Chris Baker did with you.
Yes.
Chris, we're really giving you a lot of shout outs here today. Like he did you. So one last
Yes.
thing about the Run Club that I think it's really important for people to hear. So when people are running, let's say that I have never run 3 miles and I'm going to do a 3-mile run one day. You have people that would meet me at different places in my run. Talk
Yes.
about that a minute.
We love doing that. I'm so happy that you brought that up. We actually now have a runner that the New York City Marathon got canceled. So now she's running it virtually on October 31st.
Okay.
So we have different people that are going to run different legs of the marathon with her, and I have the last 10 miles with her.
That's a big leg. I was thinking, can't you just break it up in like 3 miles or something? That's a
Well, the
big
last
leg.
10 miles of a marathon, these are the hard miles,
Right.
right? I mean, I'm gonna get to her when she's at mile 16, and my legs are very fresh.
Right.
So not only physically but mentally, she's gonna be at a point where she needs the support, a specific type of support for those last 10 miles.
Creating leaders through relationships. So your relationship with her, your leadership, you're going to help her accomplish an amazing feat in her
I
life.
can't wait for October
right?
31st.
But just look how you've grown, because I was thinking as you were talking, you need to know you're fresh, how strong to come on, how much to pace, how much to push, how much to, how much to, whether to talk, whether to be silent. There are so many things in that relationship with her to help her accomplish her goal.
Absolutely.
That
It's
you
about
need,
her.
Right. That's
It's about
amazing.
her, and you have to recognize that. You know, you can't go pace someone thinking it's all about you. Then
Right.
you go run your own race.
Right.
Nothing wrong with that.
Right.
But when you're with someone and pacing someone, especially the last 10 miles of a marathon, you have to understand everything that they're going through so that you can help them get out from the hole.
Right.
Because she's going to be in a hole at some point.
And you're going to help her out.
Absolutely.
But
That's
in a
my
way that
job.
she needs you. And you know, from working with me, for me, I would oftentimes say I love people from where they are.
Yes.
I manage people from where they are. Because if we expect somebody that's here to be with their peer that's here, it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
We have to love them from where they are, and at some point, you know, they'll catch up.
Yeah.
You know, so I think that that's so important. How did you become so wise?
I don't know, Susan. That's quite a question. I don't know. I don't see myself as wise. I really just feel like life has given me so much perspective that I just want to be a good person. I just want to be there for others, and that's where my mission lies. That's where my passion lies. Whether it's in running or whether it's in business, I want to make you believe that you can do it.
Right.
That is such a powerful feeling for me. You know, like on my way here, I had an agent, one of my top producers, $10 million producer, calls me and he goes, this is a quick call. I just want to thank you because you have made us think in a different way.
Right.
And now our business is starting to grow, where we've been plateaued for 3 years. And now we're growing because we're thinking differently, and you helped us think differently. That's amazing.
Right, right.
Right? I'm like, well, but you're the one doing the work. Because I don't ever want people to feel that they are where they're at because of me.
Right.
Because it's really not because of me. I'm just planting an idea in your head, and you're the one executing.
And you're also helping tweak their behaviors, and you can take that back to running.
Yes.
You know, how you plant your foot, what shoes you wear, what socks you wear. There's so many little things that you can help with that they can soar.
And that for me is a measure of success. And my words to him were, thank you so much for this gratitude call, because it really made my day. And tonight I can sleep in peace.
Right.
Because now I know that we're doing something right.
You're doing a lot of
Whether
things
it's
right.
wise or not, you know. But something we're doing right.
So you believe that other people's success is more important than your success?
100%. I think it's a balance. My success is important to me and my family.
Right.
But I do feel that I'm going to succeed through others. So while others are successful, absolutely I'm going to be successful.
Right. Your success comes hand in hand. When you put others first, you end up propelling forward right along with them, right?
Correct.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Integrity.
Wow, that's one of my favorite words.
And why is that?
Well, because there's a lack of in this world, and I believe that you have to be the change that you want to see in the world.
Right.
So I work very, very hard at living a life of very high integrity. And if I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to come through and do something.
Right.
I'm not going to not commit to something I've said I'm going to do.
Can we talk for a minute about your journey when you and I got together to have conversation about you coming to work for Fidelity?
Of course.
So Alyssa introduced us.
Yes.
And we had a couple of interviews. Yes.
Yeah, it was a process.
It was a process.
Like everything worth in life.
Right. And what was your perspective during that time?
I really felt that you guys were interested in getting to know who I was, not so much what my skill set was. It was about character, and it wasn't about can you sell.
Right.
Which struck me very odd, because that's not what I was used to.
Right.
You know, in the real estate industry, it's all about the numbers and what can you do when your goals, and are you making, you know, are you getting there, right? And how quickly are you getting there? And that whole process with you guys was all about getting to know Liliana.
Right.
Like what makes me tick.
But were numbers important to me when I hired you?
Absolutely. Yeah, like I walked into the office the other day, and the first thing I did was look at your goal board.
Right.
I was like, good job, girls.
Yeah, good job, good job. So people and numbers are equally important.
Absolutely.
But I wanted to just touch on that process was about getting to know each other, was getting to figure out whether we had those conversations, not just were you a good fit for us, but was I a good fit for you?
I remember you telling me very specifically the day you hired me, you said to me, I'm going to hire your character. I am not so sure that you're going to be able to sell. But it will come because of your character.
Yes.
It's not going to be quick, but it will come.
Right.
Those were your words to me.
Yes, and I love that you remember those words, and I love that they made a difference.
They
But
did.
then you're out there making calls.
And doing my job.
And yeah, doing your job and creating relationships, engaging, right? All those things that we talk about but are real. And 𝐂𝐫𝐫, you end up creating a great relationship with 𝐂𝐫𝐫 at Keller Williams Legacy. And what happens?
So an agent was the one who approached me. At the time, they didn't have a team leader. It hadn't even occurred to me.
Well, it occurred to Chris Baker. It's all Chris Baker's fault.
It's all Chris's fault.
Yeah.
I'm sure he'll take that gladly. An agent approached and said, why aren't you putting your name on the hat? Everyone we interview, we kept saying, they need to be like Liliana. So why aren't we talking to Liliana?
Right.
And I was like, I'm a vendor here. Like, is this legal?
Yeah.
I don't know that we should be having this conversation.
Right. So what did you do?
Well, I went home. I talked to my husband. I called my mother. And then I called you.
Yes. And we had a meeting.
Yes.
We met.
Yes. And my husband was freaking out.
Right.
He was like, she's going to fire you. She's going to fire you in the spot. And I said, you know what? If she does, she does. But I'm going to have peace of mind that I did the right thing.
Right.
So then
and
we
you
spoke.
did the right thing.
Thank you.
And we talked and we were able, and I think this is important for people to hear, in that moment, both of us, because we both have integrity, were able to set aside our own selfish wants, desires, goals, to just talk about, will KW Legacy, 𝐂𝐫𝐫, the team lead position, be a good opportunity for Liliana? And that's the beauty of honesty, transparency, integrity, conversation, and risk and reward. People talk about that, and I love that you were, and by the way, viewers, when we hired Liliana, when we decided to join company together, one of the things I did was we had dinner with your husband. So that was really also very important. But you, when you said to Josh, I'm doing this anyway, risk and reward, the risk for you was worth the reward of being transparent and honest. And,
Absolutely.
and the other component that people should know is that was also important to 𝐂𝐫𝐫, because 𝐂𝐫𝐫 wasn't going to move forward with you until...
When I knocked on that door,
Right.
her words to me were, you need to talk to Susan West before you knock on this door again.
Right.
We're not even having a conversation.
Right.
And I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Right.
Because it was, again, speaking to my integrity, right? I mean, this was someone that I was thinking of associating myself with.
Right.
And she played her cards right because she immediately showed me who she was.
Right, which was great. It's so funny. It's like a trick question when I offer someone a job and I say, when can you start? And sometimes they get a little nervous. They're like, well, I really feel like I have to give a 2 weeks notice. I said, good answer. Because if you would have said, I'll start tomorrow, that wouldn't have worked for me. But I asked the question in a way to make them feel a little pressure, but to get the right answer, which is, I'm putting in a notice. And that's really very important. So we had the conversation, and you made the decision to go, or to put your name in the hat officially. And we also had the conversation about what happens if they end up not taking you. Will this role be enough for you?
Yes, we did.
That was a risk too, right?
Yes, it was a very big risk.
For both of us.
Yes.
But the truth be told, you're in a role that you what?
I honestly think I'm right where I need to be.
Right.
I am. I love it. I love every minute of it, every stressful minute of it. And mainly because my job is to make people shine.
Right.
And that's my mission.
Right. Every day.
Every day, all day long.
So relationships are what have made you a better leader.
Yes, 100%.
Through the whole thing. And I have to share this, and I did share this with you obviously before we went on camera, but you're in the role that you should be in.
Thank you.
You could feel when you worked for our team at Fidelity that you had this leader oozing out of you. You needed to lead, and you weren't ready to lead in our world because it's just different in our world. But your real estate background, the person that you are, all of the things about you just scream team leader. And then Keller Williams, the way you think, the way they think.
Yes, our values are completely aligned.
So aligned.
Yes.
And that doesn't mean that other real estate offices aren't great for other people, but for you, this is where you need to be.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
someone asked me the other day, did you ever contemplate being outside of the Keller Williams brokerage? And I was like, no. No, because their values are aligned with mine, and I am a person of values. And I
Right.
want to be where I'm understood and where I belong. For me, the feeling of belonging is a very important
Right.
feeling. And that's what I want to, that's what our team implements in the office, is that feeling of belonging that is led by those values.
I love that the last time I was there, you were talking about a very specific value that Keller Williams has, that you have, that 𝐂𝐫𝐞𝐚𝐿 has. And you just really looked at the team and said, if this value isn't important to you, then you shouldn't be here.
Yeah, absolutely.
You and I are very similar that way, that if you don't think this way, if you don't feel this way, if you don't have this level of integrity, you shouldn't be here.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll still love you and go work somewhere else.
Right, with a
Yes,
smile on your face. I love that
absolutely.
smile.
Absolutely.
I also wanted to thank you.
Why?
Because you gave me a voice. And I think it's really important for the viewers to hear this as well. But when the civil unrest really started, George Floyd, all the things that happened there, you and I had a conversation before I came to your office meeting that day.
Yes, we did.
And I said, I feel like I'm a leader and people listen to me, and I've made a difference through my voice to people in this industry, both personally and professionally. And Liliana, I don't feel that I have a voice because I'm a white female. And you looked at me and said,
You do. I said you have a voice, you are a leader in our industry, and if there's ever a time that you need to use this voice, it's right now. Whatever it was that you were going to say.
right,
Because honestly, I didn't care what the message was.
Right.
Just use it. And I know you well enough to know that the message was going to be the correct message,
Right.
Or the one that I was expecting a fellow leader would have.
right.
Based on your integrity and your values. But yeah, you definitely have to use it. And I think that's part of it's going on now in Keller Williams, where we're forming a social equity task force. And that is the conversation. I don't want to have this conversation with people that think like me, look like me, or feel like me, right?
Right.
And I want to have this conversation with others, because we need to start to talk to one another and listen to one another to understand each other.
Right.
Not convince each other of whatever.
Exactly.
Why can't we
because-
just understand each other?
Right, because relationships create
Absolutely.
leaders. So if you have one final thing that you get to say to our viewers today, or to me,
Yes.
what would it be?
That you guys have to believe that you succeed through others. You know, the power of collaboration, it's so much more powerful than competition.
Right.
And competition is very, very healthy. In our industry, it's super healthy. But it is through collaboration where growth happens. So absolutely. You gotta, pull whatever leader, whether they're in your brokerage or any other brokerage, and if you can learn from someone, go knock on that door and ask the questions and ask to learn and ask to be in that person's life, because people will change your life.
Right.
100% in this business.
Well, my final thing to say to you is thank you. Thank you for joining our team at Fidelity. Thank you for the time that you put in with us.
Of course.
Thank you for recognizing my need for the truth, for honesty. Thank you for challenging that by telling me your truth and being transparent with me. And thank you for helping me realize that my leadership doesn't necessarily mean that people that I lead work for me. It sometimes means that my leadership can help and assist with others
You're a
to lead
mentor.
them somewhere else, right?
Yes.
So just so much appreciation. And we're not perfect, but I think we set an example today, and I trust that we set an example today for how things in relationships can be done to make a difference to everybody that's watching. So thank you for watching today. I'm Susan West with the Closers Platform, a show about closers, for closers, with closers. And thank you so much, Liliana. And it's time, not today, but another day, for a drink, and we can just have some girl time.
Yes.
All righty.
Say one.
Thank you. All righty. Thank you. Yay.
Awesome. Yes.